Africa had great kings and queens, you should know. Search your history, it will show. If you know not from whence you came, you are doomed to live in shame. Great kings of Africa.
And we'll go by the central campus after the student group and the licensing committee. Two student groups that are responsible for bringing our guest speakers to today. Also, we will have a question and answer session following the speech. Before we begin, I want to bring up the national representative for the Honorable Elijah Louis Farrell. You have a few words before.
Thank you very much. I'd like to just make a few comments. Start this Ahmed. My name is Kwame. I'm the African representative of Minister Louis Farrakhan, based in the country of Ghana, West Africa. This July will be 6 years that I've been living in Africa. And when I first moved to Africa, it was Brother Kwame Ture who would come over from Guinea, Sicily, and getting the lay of the land. Though I had traveled in Africa quite extensively, I have not lived in Africa. And so, as most of you know, Kwame Ture is fighting a medical battle. And tomorrow night, while he's here in Atlanta, we want to do an appreciation rally for him at the Arts Fellows Hall. And because Kwame is such a dear and close friend to me, because of his years of hammering me about Africa, saying that eventually y'all will set up in Africa. And lo and behold, in 1990, we did open an office in Africa, which in 1994 we had our annual convention in the country of Ghana, the capital of Accra. Kwame Ture was there. And it began the movement on the African continent that ended with Minister Farrakhan's world tour, where he visited 19 countries and was received on the African continent very warmly and openly by the heads of states in those countries. And I must say that it all began with Kwame Ture in 1972 hammering us about Africa, and that the future of the black people, the connection of Africans in the diaspora and those at home was important for the future of African people. And so I would hope tomorrow that you would take a few minutes to be with us. It's tomorrow evening. There's a letter on the table outside that will give you the information and the location. And we're looking for those friends of Kwame who went to Howard with him, who struggled in the civil rights movement here in the South, to be out with us tomorrow evening to give our brother a fitting tribute before he leaves the country for medical treatment. So I thank you very much for this time. Those who cannot make it, excuse me, one other thing, if you can't make it tomorrow night, there's an envelope on the table. Please take the envelope with you, and there's a mailing address that you can show your support for our brother. Thank you very much.
Now, the brother I'm about to introduce to you, should need no introduction because he's one of the most respected black activists. He's one of the most respected because he was organizer and chairman of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, or SNCC, the student group that helped overthrow segregation in the South. He helped SNCC organize the first Black Panther Party in the United States to challenge the Southern Democratic Party's oppression of black people and to make America a true democracy for all people. He helped start the Black Power movement, and his beliefs in our right to defend ourselves against racist brutality was inspired the founding of the Black Panther Party for self-defense. Like most human rights activists, he has been imprisoned many times just for his defiant activism. So he has struggled for all of us. He is the chairman of the All-African People's Revolutionary Party, and their mission is to create a worldwide liberation among all black people. And right now, I want to take a moment to thank him for everything he has done for our people. This man, he's about unity and making Pan-Africanism a reality and not a dream. And I also want to thank you for writing Black Power and Stokely Speaks. These two books, I think everybody needs to read. A lot of negative things been said about this brother, but these two books just destroy all our lives. So I want all of you to give a warm welcome to an intelligent, courageous African, a true revolutionary activist, Mr. Kwame Ture.
since I asked you to introduce my seat, but as you know, I am recuperating from illness. When I was a young man, a very young man, about a little bit older than you in Tanzania, about 1967, I read a book that my memory serves directly by an Englishman by the name of, I think, Decatur. And the book was called Red Star Over China. It was a story of the history of the Chinese Communist Party struggle for power, being led by the great humanist Mao Zedong. And at that time I didn't have malaria, but in the book there was a battle, and Mao Zedong, the leader of the Communist Party, had malaria. And for 3 days he had to direct his troops to a stretcher. Sorry, a long time ago, so I said, well, if Mao Zedong can direct a battle from a stretcher for 3 days, I can certainly sit in a chair and try and raise consciousness for a couple of people. So, we want to excuse our seat. We want to thank Brother Tin for the beautiful introduction. We've been given 2 themes, one a larger theme, which is divergent backgrounds, common ground, and the second one from the African Student Association here, from civil rights to black power to Pan-Africanism. We propose to tie them both up by starting first with Pan-Africanism and moving backwards. Pan-Africanism is the total liberation and unification of Africa under scientific socialism. This is Pan-Africanism. We want to emphasize at the very beginning that all Pan-Africanists must be socialists. All right, after having defined it, we want to show you why we arrived there, and to let you know that arriving at this Pan-Africanism as this definition was a result of historically determined forces. Those of you who've had any study at all in some even minor aspects of sociology, of anthropology, of history, will know that all societies have a proclivity to go from smaller social aggregates to larger social aggregates, from the family to the clan, to the tribe, to the nation, to the continent. This is an evolutionary trend, and we said it is universal, to be found in all societies. We can see this best if we were to look to Europe. Europe today speaks of a European continental unity. And Europe, of course, has waged more fratricidal wars than all the continents put together. But in spite of having waged all these fratricidal wars, Europe today is speaking of European continental unity. Certainly, I'm sure you can just see the growth of all societies follows this trend to go from smaller social aggregates to larger social aggregates. Africa, equal to every other people in every aspect, was also following this evolutionary path, going from smaller social aggregates to larger social aggregates, from the family to the clan, to the tribe, to the nation, to the continent. This evolutionary process was brutally brutally stopped by slavery and colonialism. That is to say, Africa on her own, left without this brutal interruption of slavery and colonialism, would have already arrived at continental unity. This slavery, of course, which came to brutally interrupt Africa's evolutionary process towards continental unity, took 300 million Africans out of Africa, the young and the strong. If we were to give America a population of, let's say, 300 million, I imagine somewhere between 280 and 300, let's say 300 million. If we were to take 50 million of the young and the strong out of America, we would reduce our productive forces to a miserably low stage. If you take 300 million of the young and the strong out of Africa, you destroy completely productive forces. Therefore, it's to be understood that this slavery, which took Africa's most important element, human element, outside of Africa, certainly stopped the evolutionary process. But the imperialist powers themselves were not just content with slavery. After having emptied Africa of a most vital element, a human element, they sat down in Berlin at a conference in 1864 and divided Africa. The French took a part, the Spanish took a part, the Portuguese took another part, the Italians took a part. Everybody took a part, except Africa, of course. These imperialist powers were certain that after having wasted Africa and the human element in dividing Africa, that somehow this urge for continental unity, this evolutionary process which others have to go from smaller social aggregates to larger social aggregates, that is to say, to African continental unity, would completely be stopped. I think that human society has learned a lot about this. You can destroy churches, but you cannot destroy the desire for the people to believe in God. So, by doing all of these things, these imperialist powers thought they could stop this desire. But no, on the contrary, the desire for continental unity among Africans has grown stronger. Africa must be unified. And since an evolutionary process which would lead to this unified continent has been interrupted, the only way she can arrive at continental unity is through revolution. And therefore, we must understand precisely. Africa's choice for revolution is a historically determined choice. That is to say, had Africa been left alone, she would arrive at continental unity without any problems at all. But since this has been interrupted, and she still wants to arrive at continental unity, since the evolutionary process has been destroyed, the only process allowed for Africa to arrive at continental unity is through revolution. Of course, you know all revolution does is to speed up the evolutionary process of the march of human history. Of course, it was capitalism that came to destroy Africa's evolutionary process towards continental unity. And so since capitalism came to commit slavery, came to give us colonialism, we cannot unify Africa with capitalism. We can only unify Africa with the diametrical opposition of capitalism, which is socialism. So I think that in a few statements, as best as possible, available to our understanding of the problem, which we've been struggling with for decades, we've come to show you precisely that this need for Pan-African unity, this revolutionary need, this socialist component, is based upon historically determined facts outside of the African continent, i.e. slavery and colonialism, the dividing of Africa. Now I want to pause a little, talk to you a little about socialism. Now, of course, I know that you don't know anything about socialism. I know this. I know this because I know a capitalist system, and you live in a capitalist system. America is a capitalist system. In a capitalist system, not only do they make people ignorant, they make them arrogant in their ignorance. That is, not only do they not know, but they do not want to. And they're very arrogant about it. I remember once talking to a college student about Africa. He being an African said, "What study about Africa will go do for me? I don't need to study Africa." Can you hear students saying that? All students must say, I want to study everything there is to study, because the more I know, the better human being I am, the better able I am to serve humanity. This is clear up, but we say in America, they make them stupid and then arrogant about this. I want to learn about Africa, what's that going to do for me? All right. Stupid and then they're arrogant and they're stupidity. So most people don't know anything about socialism in America. And everything they know, they don't want to know. About a couple of last year, I was in an Arab country there and discussing revolutions, and that's my job. And some Arabs there were very confused. They couldn't understand America. You know, for them, there should be revolution in America. America's technologically developed, they have so much information, all that. I don't know, you know, America. I said, America, I think the people become stupid and they love their stupidity. And they couldn't understand it, you know, because they thought America should be so intelligent. I said, no, they love it. I said, look, we live in what they call the developing world. So our political regimes are not stable. Today, a revolutionary group may take power, tomorrow a reactionary group. When a reactionary group takes power, they burn all revolutionary books. When revolutionary groups take power, they ban all reactionary books. I said, in America, they don't have to ban anything. They leave them in the library. Nobody reads them at all. Matter of fact, teachers have a hard time trying to get their students reading textbooks. Did the teacher they should read it? Is it a science reading? Yes, we don't, you might learn something. So we understand the problem here. Not only two economic systems in the world, just two, capitalism or socialism. Of course, socialism has a discussion leading to communism. But that discussion, the discussion of socialism leading to communism, is not an economic discussion, it is a philosophical discussion. Communism is made up of three parts: dialectical materialism, historical materialism, and philosophical materialism. Philosophical materialism, in the hands of Engels and Marx and Lenin, because of their European culture, is atheistic. That is to say, in order to be a communist, you must be an atheist. When we say atheism, we don't mean someone who doesn't believe in God. we mean someone who affirms the non-existence of God. Clearly here, this problem of denying God will create a lot of problems for people outside of European culture. Certainly in Africa, it creates a lot of problems. To tell people that before they arrive at a just society, they must give up God is incomprehensible. It seems to me that they think that the only way you can have a just society is with God. So the problem going to socialism and communism is not an economic problem, it is an ideological problem. And many people who are not atheists cannot accept communism. Therefore, that's why they have a lot of trouble in the Arab world, because there, the religion of Islam was not just a religious force, but also a civilizing force. So the Arabs hold on very strongly to their religions and come and tell them that to be a just person, you must give up God, is a little bit incomprehensible for them. So we will deal just with capitalism and socialism. Of course, even for those who call themselves communists, they see socialism as the first step. Now, I'm not an atheist, I want to make that quite clear. To deny the existence of God is awful powerful for me, even though my religious beliefs are not as precise as they should be, maybe, but when you see the perfect union of the stars, the way the earth has been built, this perfect rotation, it's kind of hard to say that all this came about by accident, you know. But some people do make that statement. All right, so we'll deal then with just capitalism and socialism. Both of them are economic systems, and we said there can only be two economic systems in the world. And there can only be two economic systems in the world because each economic system must answer one fundamental question. Who will own and control the wealth of the country? Who will own and control the means of production? The question can only be answered two ways. Either a few will own or everybody will own. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. In a capitalist system, a few people own everything, and people who own nothing justify them having the right to own everything. The capitalist system doesn't just rip off your labor, it distorts your thinking. It makes you think logically and morally. I remember once meeting a man who was saying, "Well, Ture, you also about socialism." I said, "Yeah, I'm against capitalism, I'm socialist." He said, "Well, I'm not against capitalism, I'm for it." You know, he went up with all the speeches, freest country in the world, most democratic, you know the line they give you, all lies. And I said to him, "My brother, where are you working at?" He said, "I ain't working, I'm unemployed." He's unemployed and defending capitalism, he ain't got labor to sell. Nothing to bargain with, you know, so it's really a confusing situation. That the people who have nothing at all to gain in capitalism are the ones who defend it the most. It's just like America. Africans defend America stronger than any other ethnic group in America, and they're more brutalized in America than any other group. Capitalism must be struggled with seriously on every level, without pity and without mercy, because it dupes the people without pity and without mercy. The capitalist system is a backward system. One of the cornerstones of capitalism is private property. I want to spend a little time with this aspect of it because as students it affects you greatly. Since private property is a cornerstone of capitalism, capitalism thinks everything is a private property and therefore everything can be a commodity. Of course, we know that human beings cannot be sold, but capitalism will sell my mother on an auction block. Yes, it will. Yes, it will. Therefore, we know that things should not be private property, but capitalism will use them as commodities. One of these things that affects you as students is that known as knowledge. After all, your purpose for coming to the university is to acquire knowledge. That is your purpose, incidentally, whether it's technical knowledge or techniques or whatever, it's to acquire knowledge. Of course, the capitalist system can have you thinking so backwardly that you might think that this knowledge which you acquire becomes your private property. And as such, you have a right to bargain with it on the market, you know, to the highest bidder. Knowledge has but one fundamental purpose. Its purpose is to alleviate the sufferings of humanity. Knowledge has but one fundamental purpose. Its purpose is to alleviate the sufferings of humanity. Since it's given to us by generations of people, it can never belong to any one of us. Once we acquire knowledge, we're only guardians of that knowledge. Depending upon how we use that knowledge in the society will depend upon how that knowledge grows. If we keep it to ourselves as a commodity, we've now come to, in fact, go against all the values of knowledge. Knowledge cannot be private property. Therefore, those of you who enter the university with the only motivating force of the capitalist system, profit by any means necessary. And those of you who come to the university with the motivating force to acquire knowledge just to advance yourself economically, have already made a great, great error in life. You will completely miss the essence of life. You're completely caught up in the capitalist system where you even think that your schoolwork, the knowledge which you acquire from generations, should be your private property to be used to advance yourself. For African students, and we want to tell you now, truth is universal, so when we speak about African students, we're only using a particular aspect of humanity to speak about the universal truth. That truth is for everybody. For those African students, it's even worse, because they know that they get these seats from the blood of their people. They know it. They know anything they get in America, they get through bloodshed. No one sitting in this audience can show me one advance that any African, even individually, has made in this country without shedding blood. To sit in a filthy 5 and 10 cent store where we want to sit, we've got to shed blood. To ride on a bus and sit where we want to sit, even though we pay the same amount of money as everybody else, we've got to shed blood. To live in any neighborhood we want to live in, even though we have the economic ability to live there, we have to shed blood. To get the vote in a democratic country which is given to everyone, we have to shed blood. To get our children into universities where we pay taxes, we have to shed blood. No African, no non-African, anywhere in the world can show me what advancements that Africans have made in America without shedding blood. Therefore, every African who occupies any position in America, even a basketball player, must know this position is the result of the blood of my people and must be used for the benefit of my people. Failure to do this is betrayal to humanity and betrayal to the blood of the masses of your people. Your education belongs to your people, and you must understand that precisely. Capitalism will do everything to distort your mind. One of the backward aspects of capitalism is this nonsense about the individual. Stupid nonsense. It makes it appear as if the individual that sometimes, under some conditions, have the right to put their interests above the interests of the mass of the people. As revolutionaries will tell you the truth, at all times, under all conditions, the interests of the masses of the people must reign supreme over any individual interest. Capitalism, we say, distorts the thinking, and it does. That's its job. Its job is to distort the thinking completely, make the people think logically, immorally. As a matter of fact, if you look at capitalism and look at this individual nonsense, it reduces the people to a level lower than animals. Because human beings are animals, but they are superior to animals. This was always to keep in mind. While they're similar to animals, they're also dissimilar to animals. And it's a dissimilarity that will put the real ground between them and the animals. For example, animals have instincts, so do human beings. But any human being who acts just on instinct and not on reason will act just like an animal. Therefore, human beings must not act on instinct, but must have all of their instincts governed at all times under all conditions by reason. Because human beings have the ability to think. Now, just because we say we have the ability to think doesn't mean that all of us think. And sometimes the capitalist system will have us think we're thinking when we're not thinking at all. As a matter of fact, capitalism makes them respond to stimuli, and the act of responding they think they're thinking. It's a vicious system. As a matter of fact, worse than that, it will even begin to confuse you and let you think that you can think about something you know absolutely nothing about. As a matter of fact, I remember as a young man in high school when giving us a philosophy, they started to give us the Latin term cogito ergo sum. I am, therefore I think. And this sounds really logical, but I know all of you know this isn't true, because all of you I know many who are and do not think. I know many. And not only this, the capitalist system lets you think that you can think about something you know nothing about. Thought is nothing other than the reflection of action for the gratification of future action. Without action, there can be no thought. I see them all the time. They sit on the basketball benches watching the basketball player. Oh, you should have done this, you should have done that. Yeah, you're sitting there. Unless you play basketball, you can't even think about basketball. Unless you swim, you cannot think about swimming. If you don't take biology, you cannot think about biology. Of course you can think about biology. But if you haven't taken physics, you can never think about the atom. You can think about it, but unless you've taken physics, you cannot think about the atom. You can only think about something when you're involved in it. This is especially important for African students, because capitalism will let them think that they can think about their people's advancement in the liberation struggle, and they're not involved in the liberation struggles of their people. So we want to make it clear to all the African students here, if you are not involved in your people's struggle to advance them, do not think that you can think about the advancement of your people. The only way you can think about the advancement of your people is when you're involved in a concrete struggle on a daily basis to advance your people. Otherwise, you just think you're thinking and you're wasting time. You say, you know what problems we have with this capitalist system? And we haven't even got a socialism. I tell you so much, we have to fight it every minute of the day. The indigenous people of this country says, capitalism doesn't lie some of the time, it lies all of the time. When it tells the truth, it's a result of a double lie, and this is the truth. So, we will not belabor the point of the capitalist system too much. We just highlighted some points which affect you, certainly students, this concept of private property, and you're not getting carried away and thinking private knowledge is your private property, or even your wife or something. And we've also shown the aspects of individualism. Now, we want to show really how backward this individualism thing is now. And of course, we can look at, we can look at biological experiences, and what I like all the time is really a biological aspect of this nonsense of the individual human beings. Now, other animals of the lower kingdom, any of their species isolated by themselves can make it by themselves, but no human being isolated from the human species can make it by itself. That should alone squash this nonsense about the individual. Certainly, if you take a kid the minute it's born, before it opens its eyes, you take a puppy the minute it's born, before it opens its eyes, you take a baby the minute it's born, before it's opened its eyes, and you throw them in the woods, there's no question. The kitten will grow to the fullest cat potential. The puppy will grow to the fullest dog potential, but it's question whether the human being will live. That baby might scratch itself to death. If it doesn't, it is questioned whether or not it will be able to even move around. But one thing is sure, even if the baby lives, it will be incapable of functioning in any society, therefore making any contribution to any society, because human beings learn through imitation. So this individual nonsense means absolutely nothing. Of course, we can take it one step further. Take the same kitten, the same puppy, the same baby. Throw them before their eyes are open to grow up with monkeys. The puppy, which grows up with the monkey, will grow up to be a dog. Wag its tail, love bones. The kitten, growing up to be a cat, will be a full cat. It will love milk. The first time it sees a mouse, it will run with it, play with it, eat it. It will meow. But the human being will talk like a monkey, walk like a monkey, eat monkey food, and try to make a contribution to monkey culture. Of course. Human beings learn by imitation. Therefore, this individual nonsense means absolutely nothing. If you are outside of the society, any individual outside of any society, any individual isolated from the human species is more stupid than any other species. As a matter of fact, a baby ant will never crawl into fire. A kitten will never go into fire. A bird will never go into fire. A puppy will never go into fire. But a baby will walk right into fire smiling all the way, unless another human being protects them and shows them the way. You must smash this nonsense about the individualism. It is the people and the people who give us everything. Since they give us everything, everything we get must be given back to the people. This concept then must be clearly understood. This is based, of course, on socialism. Socialism has as its motivating force service to humanity. Now, of course, I understand capitalism. Tomorrow, a lady will tell you, professors, I want you to hear a talk by Kwame Ture. And he said that socialism is the best system. And your professor will say, oh yes, but socialism is utopia. You think the teachers talk about me. Oh, the teachers talk about you. One of the teachers making a statement saying that there's something that man and woman cannot achieve. I want to tell you, as students, the only attitude you can take in life is there's nothing that man and woman cannot achieve. You may limit yourself, but you certainly can never limit the creativities of the people. Therefore, in no time, under any condition, must you say that the human being cannot do such and such. No, that's nonsense. I was a young man growing up in Trinidad in the Caribbean. There we had no lights as a young man, and when the moon came out, being close to the equator, it came out very full and bright. As a young man, I enjoyed when the moon came out. We could run and play games at night, which was bright light of the moon. I would run to my grandmother and say, Granny, Granny, I want to go to the moon. And she said, hush up, child. That's God's thing. You can't go there. But today we go to the moon. Today we go to the moon. Therefore, you must never say that there's something that man and woman cannot do. And this flight to the moon started a long time ago. Greek philosophy tells us about a man. What was his name? Is Daedalus, I think? Who was Greek philosophy here? A mythology. Daedalus, the one who put the wings on and tried to fly across, and he was with his son. I forgot his son's name. Or was his son Daedalus? Oh, at least you do know it. Thank you. I was worried about you. Did they stop teaching you that? And you know, of course, it went too close to the sun, his wax melted and fell. But since then, man and woman has been trying to go to the moon. So there's nothing that man and woman cannot do. And to build a just society, There's nothing man and woman will not do. Therefore, you must not let your teacher say that. But your teacher says this because she knows that you've been confused already. Capitalism lets you think that life is one-sided. So I remember once when having a discussion with German, she said, Mr. Ture, what do you really want? I said, power. He said, how about money? I said, give me power. He said, how about faith? I said, just power. He said, don't you know power corrupts? And absolute power absolutely corrupts? I said, that's in your thinking. That's your one-sided thinking. Because they tell you that man by nature is basically greedy. Of course he is. But woman by nature is also basically altruistic. You never have a one-sided aspect of any life. There's always two sides. I used to laugh at those in the early days of the civil rights movement. We used to talk about, you can't have no hatred. I said, I hate injustice, Jack. And once this old preacher came to see me, he said, you hatred? I said, I got some hatred in me, Reverend. I said, I hate injustice with a passion. He said, well, you're not supposed to hate anything. I said, well, do you love Satan? Do you love Satan? You're a Christian. Your hatred is Satan. Satan, that better be total. I mean, it better be total. If you like anything about Satan, he'll catch you. Yes, if you like the way he dresses, you like my dress. I just had one made for you to try it on. So I understand that in order to have love, you must have hatred. I have full hatred of injustice, and my hatred of injustice is righteous. It's righteous hatred. So I'm not confused by this. Life is a dialectical aspect at all times. There are opposites. There's never just one side or the other. There's always two sides. If a man is greedy, he must have the ability to be altruistic. If a man is competitive, woman must have the ability to be cooperative. Everywhere you look, you will find it. But in capitalist society, they hide the positive aspects of humanity. They show only the evil aspects, therefore justifying the evil systems, I guess with a statement like neediness. This is the best of all possible worlds because man is basically evil, so capitalism is all you can get. Nonsense. Martin Luther King never let power corrupt him. Never. He was a preacher. And in my community, preachers always had Cadillacs. King never drove a Cadillac. King was a preacher. And in my community, preachers loved money. King had no love for money. He loved the poor, the downtrodden. He gave his life to liberate them. Martin Luther King never sought power. So telling me that power corrupts just means that your backward capitalist system tells you that man by nature is corrupted, therefore everything is corrupted. But I know that man is both corrupted and altruistic. And depending upon the values that are acquired by the human being, she can be just as altruistic as he can be greedy. Therefore, I'm not confused at all by capitalism. I tell you, you have to fight it every step of the way. All right. When we go from socialism, but one thing I must tell you about it. Last year I was talking about socialism. My man said, you still talking about it? I said, yes. He said, why? I said, well, I'm intelligent, of course, my good thing. He said, did you hear about it? It's dead. I said,